Now, the trial of a French man who for nearly a decade drugged his wife in order to have her raped by dozens of strangers is entering the final stages today. The case of 71-year-old Dominique Pellicot has sparked horror, protests and debate about male violence here in France, while his wife, Gisèle Pellicot, has emerged as a hero, hailed as a feminist icon for refusing to be ashamed for what her husband and some 83 other men did to her. Well, Emerald Maxwell is with me here in the studio now to talk about where we are with the trial this week. And Emerald, look, this is the last day devoted to the questioning of the defendants. These are dozens of men who took part in this crime. Tell us a bit about what they've had to say about what they did.
Well, that's really the main question in this case, Nadia. It's the motives that could have led supposedly normal people to commit horrific actions. And because all of them appeared to lead perfectly normal lives, all of this seems to have a banality of evil aspect. These people don't seem evil, but they did evil things, and seemingly without much reflection. For the past 10 weeks, these men have taken a stand in this trial in Mazon in southern France, and the court has tried to get to the bottom of this question of motive. Meanwhile, the case has also prompted a lot of soul-searching in France. Let's take a listen.
I think it's really important to be here to show that not all men are the same. I feel completely in solidarity with what this woman has been through, and things have to change. So I'm very feminist on the issue.
For me, it was a moment of realizing that I too could have problematic behavior, that I too was in fact part of the problem, when I didn't think that was the case at all. There's something that was often repeated during the Mazon trial which stuck with me, that shame must change sides. And I think that's true. Shame must change sides. But I think that shame is also a transitional stage towards something else, and that people must seize this shame and this guilt to act, to transform themselves and find answers so that they don't make the same mistakes over and over again.
So the second man we heard there, by the way, is not involved in the Mazon trial, but he has been accused. He's admitted to sexual violence. And what I think is interesting is what he says about accepting and taking responsibility for your actions. And that doesn't seem to have reached all the defendants in the Mazon case, unfortunately. Dominique Pellicot himself has admitted to rape. And he was described by one psychiatrist as a Jekyll and Hyde character between the loving grandfather he seemed to be and the monstrous abuser he was to his wife. His lawyer, meanwhile, says that you can do something monstrous without being a monster. But of his co-defendants, only 14 have admitted to aggravated rape. And the others deny it, despite the evidence against them, maintaining that they thought it was sex games. Take, for instance, Charlie A., who took the stand on Friday. He visited the Pellicots' house no less than 6 times, starting when he was 22 years old. Now 30, he claims he didn't know that it wasn't consensual on Gisèle Pellicot's part and that he thought she was pretending to sleep. In videos shown to the court, she's snoring deeply, she's unresponsive, while he and Dominique Pellicot tiptoe around her, whispering and raping her together. But perhaps the most chilling part happens at the end of his last visit to the Pellicots, when the two men are heard discussing sedating and having sex with the young man's mother. Dominique Pellicot asks him, when is this going to happen? And Charlie A. answers, not this weekend, my brother's visiting, perhaps next weekend. In court, he explained that these discussions about his mother had been a wake-up call for him and that he stopped responding to Dominique Pellicot after that. He also admits, though, that Dominique Pellicot gave him pills which he then said he threw away on the way home. And that was when he realized that what he had done to Gisèle Pellicot was not consensual. But he doesn't go as far as admitting to rape himself. And when he's put on the spot, he dodges a question, instead repeating that he had no intention to rape. And this attitude is seen by most of his co-defendants and is what a lot of women activists are saying, part of this rape culture and misogyny in France that fails women because it refuses to take sexual violence and sexual abuse and harassment seriously.
And as you've said, Emerald, the case has ignited a debate in France about male violence. Just tell us a bit about what's next for the trial.
Well, today, Gisèle and Dominique Pellicot's sons are due to testify. And starting tomorrow, Gisèle Pellicot's lawyers are expected to give their closing arguments. That will be followed by sentencing requests later on in the week. And the start of the defence's closing arguments will begin on Friday. They will They're due to last 3 weeks. And only after that, the court, which is made up of professional judges, will retire to deliberate. And their verdict is expected by December 20th at the latest. If convicted, which is almost inevitable, Dominique Pilicourt will go on record as one of France's worst sex offenders. Meanwhile, the other men face up to 20 years behind bars if found guilty.
Emerald Maxwell, thank you very much.